Hello, friends!
Hello!
Welcome to Discovery 14.7. We have some...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
We heard from Jeff Hyman.
And he writes, "The Red Angel as Cyborg. Oh, great. Now I'm going to be massively disappointed when the Red Angel is revealed to be anybody else. Like Peter, I have a strange fondness for The Final Frontier. For me, it's the truest any of the movies got to capturing the spirit of the original series, which is my first sci-fi love. Although it only really focused on the silliest aspects of it. I've been really enjoying this second season of Discovery and your excellent coverage." Thank you, sir.
Yes, there is something very charming about Star Trek V, the scenes of the big three, that really makes it feel like Trek in a way that the other movies, they're all, for all their qualities, and also, clearly Star Trek 2 is better than Star Trek 5, I'm not a complete idiot, but nevertheless Star Trek 5 does feel more Trek, certainly more original Trek anyway. Anyways, thank you for that, sir. We also heard from Purry on last week's episode, which was that the Thunder one?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the Thunder one, wasn't it?
But not the Thunder from Down Under, because that's a snooker player.
Yeah, of course it is, as we all know.
Hello, Orgs. Barry here to talk about Distant Thunder. Yeah, I remembered an episode title. Was it Sound of Thunder? Distant Thunder? Can't remember. But anyway, yeah, another solid one. I mean, maybe not the most amazing one, but it was really good to have the follow-up on The Farthest Star. And a nice kind of reward to anyone who watched the short trek to see them following up on Saru. Yeah, there's not too much to say really on top of what you covered on the cast. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I do think I kind of like the idea that this was bending the Prime Directive that got away from them. So it was initially just yes, we'll go and investigate what's happening on this planet, but let's not go crazy. And then Burnham kind of reveals herself, so they kind of have that to deal with, and then the Bull come in and say, "No, give us back Saru," which, quite rightly, I did like Pike saying, "No, he's one of ours." And again, this is almost a theme running through this season. The Starfleet is a promise idea that, I protect you. So yes, Saru, even though he was being a bit of a liability on the ship, if we're honest, at this point, he was getting quite angry, and indeed, possibly part of it is him learning to control these new emotions as well. With that, we got the situation kind of got out of hand, and we eventually had this idea of, I mean, possibly, I'd have expected a bit more protest when they said, "No, we've got to send that signal to make all of them turn into the more aggressive Kelpians." But I'd have expected a bit more feedback. I, however, don't think we've seen the last of this. I think these actions will have consequences. What they are, I don't know. But now, I think part of it might not even be in this season. I think they were maybe setting some things up. So they said a lot about how any change was going to take generations, and that the Baul, who, I was wrong about that. I thought I had a good call there, but no. They aren't the Kelpians, but with their spiky heads. They were more like I say, I thought I was getting an Aramis from Skin of Evil vibe from them, but better done. I think they did say very much, the change will take generations and it'll be ages, and that gives them the option to kick this into the long grass and not deal with it. But it also gives them the option to follow up on it later if they want to, maybe in Series 3, Series 4. I thought that was quite interesting. And indeed, it is getting more interesting. Like I said, is the Red Angel, as I've thought, leading the places where the discovery is needed? Or is it following an agenda? And indeed, is it doing both? Is there like a special agenda that it's wanting to get done that involves leading the discovery to certain places? Whether that will actually be for the long-term good or ill, we don't know yet. So I do like the way we're building this mystery up here. And I think while the episode was maybe a bit lower key, we now have more people who've seen the Red Angel, and I think this did actually bring a lot of that forward. So overall, I mean, this has just been a solid series. I don't think we can complain too much about it. Good stuff. So I'll hopefully feed back for the next episode. Once I get back from London, where I am at the moment. But until that point, I'll just say, do keep up the good work. I always enjoy the show. And I'll talk to you later. Until then, bye for now.
Bye, sir.
Bye. Really?
It's a bit weird. He was recording that just across the Thames from us, but there we go. Considering where he's normally recording, the other side of the country. You got to meet him this week as well, didn't you?
Yes, we had some very fun, lots of Trek discussion drinks. Actually, mostly Discovery discussion, but yes, very, very geeky. So it was good to meet you, sir.
And yes, I think we haven't seen the last of the situation on I want to say Camino there. That's the one from Attack of the Clones, isn't it?
Yeah. Also tall and lanky, but yeah.
Yeah. What's the planet?
I don't know. Karimar? Something like that?
I've literally, all I've got in my head at the moment is Camino. It's really irritating me. Never mind, I'll look that up in a bit. Anyway, let's look at tonight's episode, Light and Shadow, which is about a generic title as you could hope to get, really.
Yeah.
So, what that has to do with anything, I don't know.
Comms are offline, sir.
Tactical systems have failed, too.
Talk to me, Owo.
Captain, these readings don't make any sense. The computer seems caught in some kind of loop.
Computers do not do well with temporal distortions, if that is what we are dealing with.
Oh, what the frick?
Chair outranks the badge.
Captain, dead ahead.
What am I looking at?
It appears to be a rift in space-time, Captain.
Full reverse.
Sorry. Systems back online.
Okay, let's not do that again.
We get a close look at the Angel, as a sort of recap at the beginning, and it definitely looks like a woman in a suit, it has to be said. That's looking like a feminine form to me, so that would support Martin's theory that it's Michael. Or it could be Giorgio, of course.
Or the one I came across, which literally just involved playing a recap of the very first episode of Discovery, is the theory that because Amanda is wearing red and says to Michael, I bless you, Amanda is the Red Angel.
Okay.
Tad tenuous.
Just slightly, yes.
Not sure it would work with the events of the episode we've just watched.
No.
Either. But it's a theory that I've
Right, okay.
I've heard. I mean, it could be something totally, utterly bloody bonkers, like the Borg Queen,
That would be disappointing, but anyway, let's. I'm sure we won't find out till quite close to the end, looking at how the episode titles are panning out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back to Michael's search for Spock, as she sets off for Vulcan. Meanwhile, Discovery is analysing the residual signal left behind of the Angel, and Tilly is getting very freaking excited about it. Then it all goes to crap on the bridge, with a rift in space-time, and we get a wibbly-wobbly thing alert.
Yes.
At least it's blue this time. Perhaps it's travelled from the first season, but anyway. Oh, we had an argument between Pike and Ash as well, which we'll get quite a few of, really, in this episode.
Yeah, but I like that, though, because Tyler's trying to throw his weight around, and Pike just looks at him and goes, the chair outranks the badge. And I love that, and he flips the badge, and I can't do that flipping thing.
Yeah.
I would have just thrown it on the floor badly. But, yeah. But I like that. Chair outranks the badge. Know your place.
Pike decides he's going to explore the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey thing in a shuttle. And once more, Saru does the Riker thing of saying, excuse me, you're the captain? Shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, we get another crazy external turbo lift scene. It's bad. Internals of the ship are mad. And Ash demands to be taken with him. And yet I thought initially that Pike had basically said no, but then next thing is you see them both on the shuttle, so obviously he's given in or something.
Well, no, he says, you're like a bad penny, and you have this thing about, Section 31 wants to find out what this is. I am your Section 31 liaison officer. Kind of, I'm going with you. But I think also as well, although it's true that because Pike was a test pilot, and that comes into fruition later in the episode, it was Tyler who was going out flying shuttles and doing shit in season 1. Wasn't
it was,
it?
yes.
So actually, Tyler is very skilled as well. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a little bit of a sort of testosterone fuel argument as whose turn it is to drive. But I do think as well that it's not... Partly it's a Section 31 thing, but also I think it is a Tyler thing. Mm-hmm. That he's kind of expecting that's what he does because he's good at it.
Michael lands in Shuttle 5 at Sarek's home, which is very beautifully designed. We've seen the inside quite a bit, but I'm not sure we've seen it from the outside before.
I'm not sure we have. No, I like it.
Quite palatial grounds he's got, but then again, he's quite a senior guy, isn't he, Sarek? So it makes sense. She gets flashbacks to her first time there and moments with Spock teaching her to do the Vulcan salute, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But then somehow also on Shuttle 5, as Andy points out, because I looked carefully the second time I watched it, and they've both got the same markings. They're using the same shuttle. How is that possible? Never mind. Pike sees a vision of himself shooting Tyler, so things are really going to deteriorate, you think. They launch a probe, but that gets lost in the time rift. Saru announces they are now on a rescue mission as the captain goes missing and hands out tasks to what is now his bridge crew.
Well, I like that though. He just stands up to it and he just takes command straight off, and it's like, you're going to do this because you're good at that, and you can do these things, and you're good at this, so you can do those things. He knows his crew. He knows what their strengths are. And although Tilly's all sort of panicking and scared, he isn't. Now, partly it's because of the change in him, but I think it's also because he knows what to do.
Mm-hmm. He also suggests that Stamets will be a great help in helping them track down their captain, what is lost in time, since Stamets is it was vaguely invulnerable to timey-wimey stuff, as we learned in Magic to make the sanest man, because that's because of his spore.
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
Well, he's a mutant, isn't he? He's put other stuff in his DNA and whatnot. So yeah, but it's logical though. It's like you've got someone on the crew who's messed with their genetics and now can do wibbly wobbly timey things. You've got a wibbly timey wimey crisis. You use the person, don't you?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
The episode is beautifully directed. We get a wonderful shot of Burnham and Amanda entering this temple that's built into a cave, which we later find out.
Oh, back to the cave.
Back to the cave, but this doesn't look like any cave we've seen in Trek before. Well, actually, it does slightly. There were some of the stalactites or stalagmites, whichever they are, that remind me very much of that meme you have from the original series of Kirk holding the very phallic shapes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one of those that, oh my gosh, they're not going to go there, are they? Anyway, it's actually a really good cave set, I think, this one. Not like, as I say, anything we've seen for a long while anyway. It's actually a sort of temple that houses the Katra stones, so all that crazy Vulcan stuff is still a thing in canon. We finally, halfway through the season, find Spock.
Someone said episode 7, this is episode 7. Who was it? They
Can't
were
remember,
right.
but yes, whoever you were, pat yourself on the back. Exactly halfway through the season.
I think it might have been Ol, but yeah, whoever it was, bang on.
Yeah. He's bearded and babbling. It's handy having captions on, actually, because it then tells you what he's saying at that point, whereas otherwise you've got not much of a sense of what he's actually saying to himself. I can't say that he reminds me at all of Nimoy, which is a bit of a problem, really, if he's supposed to be Spock. I mean, admittedly, it doesn't help he's got a beard, but he's just another Vulcan at the moment. He doesn't feel like Spock at all, but never mind.
Then it's not supposed to, because it's broken Spock.
Yeah, he wouldn't look any different, though, would he, other than the beard? I mean, the whole thing is they could have chosen an actor that was slightly more Leonard Nimoy-like for the role.
Like Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto got Leonard Nimoy's mannerisms really well, so I think that's what sold it to you. And obviously, it's a bit unfair to judge yet, because I can't even remember the name that we've got here, the guy who's playing Spock, but he haven't really been given a chance to do anything other than babbling and mad, so...
I don't know. We'll see.
Pike and Ash continue to spark off each other nicely in the shuttlecraft, and there's a nice shot where their plasma burn that they let off to help Discovery find them then merges into the ceiling of the lab on Discovery. Yeah. As I say, it's really well directed, this.
But I like as well when they're letting off that flare, it's like that turns out to be a test pilot thing to do.
Yeah.
And it does when that does work. And they're sort of having a massive row, and again, Pike is like, I'm in command. You're going to be we are going to get back. You are going to be in the brig. He's not taking any shit from Tyler.
No.
Whereas a lesser captain, or a more insecure captain, would by now have backed down, I think.
Sarek turns up and reprimands Amanda for hiding their son. She points out that his human side has led to learning difficulties for him, effectively making him dyspraxic. She used Alice in Wonderland for Spock as well as Michael, and he starts quoting it. Back in the timey-wimey thing, the shuttle is hit by the probe they launched earlier, which has been upgraded into a squid thing from Out of the Matrix.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it totally looks like the Matrix. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Michael takes Spock to one of Section 31's ships, which are numbered rather than named, interestingly. And we still don't know what class they are, but again, Section 31 super secret, so there we go.
Super secret class.
Yes. Giorgio is back along with Leland, who seems sympathetic to start with, but tells Michael she has to leave as she's not part of Section 31. So, logical, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Reese! Hey! Mr. Reese gets to do a thing. He's worked out what Pike has been doing, because he's obviously taken the pilot's test as well, or whatever it is. So, nice going, Reese. Good that he gets to solve a problem for a change. Stamets and Tilly then work out the rest of the problems they need to solve using technobabble plus some of that naff. Oh, it's like a sink that, water going down the sink stuff. It's like, can you stop with that now? The squid probe attacks Ash, and that's why Pike was shooting at him as he saw into the future.
Yep.
Then it attaches itself to the ship's controls and integrates itself into Discovery systems. Tilly has to beam Stamets over through time or something. Yeah, okay. And of course she succeeds, because Trek. But they can't beam them back because, well, basically dramatic tension. It would be far too easy, wouldn't it, if they could just beam them straight back again using the same method. Giorgio tells Burnham that the mind probe...
What? No, not the mind probe.
...that Leland is intending to use on Spock will destroy his mind. And they stage, I say stage because it's quite violently done, a cool-looking fight to make it look like Burnham overcame her. Yeah, at one point she literally bashes Giorgio's head into a panel so hard it smashes. Yeah. So if that's your idea of staging something, blimey. Stamets finds a way of beaming them out, with Pike setting the self-destruct, but not before the probe seems to have got itself into Ariam. So
I know, that's...
pretty sure that'll come up again in the future.
I think it will. I think we're going to have another one of those, it's like Data getting control of the ship things.
Exactly. She's going to be this series version of Data, a walking security risk.
Yep.
Oh, never mind. At least she'll get something to do, which would be nice.
Yeah.
As Michael leaves with Spock, Giorgio shoots her and looks amusingly apologetic.
Yeah.
Like, I had to.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
It has to be said, the fact that she can just fly out of the shuttle bay makes Section 31 look to be pretty ropey. I mean, there's a force field in place, it ought to stop them. And considering how unstoppable 31 are in Deep Space Nine, I suppose this is early days for them.
Well, yeah, but you could argue that Giorgio knows she's gone in there when Georgie's released the force field.
Oh, no. Oh, I see what you mean, that Giorgio... Well, yes, that would have been detected somehow, I would have thought. But anyway, yeah, it could be. The anomaly goes bang, and Pike thanks Ash for saving him from the squid. So they seem to have made up disappointingly quickly, it has to be said, because this crew generally all get on with one another, and Ash is the one person that was...
Yeah, but he did save
attention.
the guy's life.
Yeah, I know, but I would rather that would have happened a bit later on, really, and had a bit more tension throughout the series, rather than it's all resolved in one episode.
The tension now is going to be the walking time bomb of Ariam, isn't it?
Yeah, but nobody knows that, do they? So... Leyland balls Giorgio out, but she reveals she knows he's responsible for the death of Burnham's parents somehow. Oh, blimey, Charlie.
Well, you say that, but we know that they were killed by Klingons, so the Klingons...
Yeah, but somehow Leland's implicated, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burnham finally decodes the numbers that Spock has been muttering all the way through this story as coordinates to the planet Telos 4, i.e. the planet that is featured in the Menagerie. So we get a tie into a bit of Pike history there, or Pike future, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
And we just watched the Menagerie as it happens to see if that's any pointers for what we'll be getting in the future. I can't say there's a great deal. It'd be interesting to see the Telosians again with their butt heads and throbbing brains.
Oh, that really freaked me out. The brain throbbing was, really icky. Really did not like the brain throbbing. Ooh, there's a massive throbbing scrotum on his head.
Yeah, so I don't know quite where they're going with this. I mean, it's a planet where whatever you imagine can be real. So, yeah, that could lead to all sorts of places, I guess.
Yeah, but it also involves projection, doesn't it? So has everything been all made up? Because you think about it, in the Menagerie, it doesn't become imagined when you get there. The Commodore was imaginary from the beginning.
Yeah, they can create imaginary beings from quite a distance, can't they?
Yeah, so therefore is that explaining the Red Angel? Is the Red Angel imaginary?
Heaven knows.
I don't know. It did just occur to me how much of what they have been seeing and doing and everything is real. If that's the planet they're going to.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked in the Discovery episode was Amanda bawling out Sarek for his attitude to humans and emotion and humanity and her.
Yes, and their relationship generally. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't actually call him a cunt, but she might as well have done.
I think she possibly loves him a bit much for that.
Yeah, but you're just sort of sitting there going... And I ended up sitting there thinking, bloody hell, how much of that has she been carrying around and not saying? And how long for?
Yeah.
And do we know for definite that Amanda died? Because did she just leave him?
Well, she's still around in the original series episode later on.
Okay.
So they're still together then. So this hasn't irreparably damaged their relationship. So.
Okay. Fair enough. And so Amanda has got either dyslexia or dyspraxia or possibly both.
No, Spock.
No, she says that Spock got it from her. So... Amanda's had it and passed it on to Spock.
Right.
But she sort of learned to cope with it, and that's why she sort of taught him. But I don't quite understand how reading Alice in Wonderland makes dyspraxia or dyslexia go away.
No, nor would it help us Vulcan cope with his emotions particularly. I was kind of with Sarek on that one. I was like, how is this helping this crazy look of craziness?
I'm not... Yeah.
I mean, I can see how it would be helpful for Michael to discover her human side a bit better. And I suppose that's what she was trying to do with Spock as well. But if Spock was struggling with his human emotions, I would have thought the last thing that would help would be something as out there as Alice in Wonderland, really. But, I mean, it was an okay episode, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I enjoyed it. I still don't know what Georgie's playing at.
Oh, yeah, she's quite interesting, isn't she, now? Yeah, because it's like... I don't know, I got the impression it was out of affection for Michael, but she wasn't going to be admitting to that. So,
yeah.
But she seems to be sort of guiding her all the way along, doesn't she, right from the beginning of the season.
Well, I'm wondering how much of... we were having the discussion about the Mirror Universe in Season 1, about how they are shaped by their environment. And at one point it looked as though perhaps Lorca would not be that bad were it not for the environment he was in, and then he sort of like the next episode reveals himself to actually be a complete arse, and you're like, no, it's not that then. Well, is the reverse happening with Giorgio?
Yeah.
Is it that the way people are in this society is having more of a positive impact and allowing her to feel and express positive emotions that previously she had to keep hidden in order to survive?
Don't know.
Just a thought.
Yeah. But there seemed to be a lot of seeding stuff in this story, really. Not just around Spock, but also about Ariam.
Yeah.
So that was good.
And all this stuff has happened with time. Is that going to have an impact? In other words, is Discovery still on the same timeline as everybody else at this point?
Oh, don't go there. As soon as you start jumping around, and yeah, let's not do that. No, thank you. No.
Okay, fair enough. Choose a time-themed song then.
Oh, maybe.
Let's do the time warp again.
No, definitely not that. You know my opinion of that.
Oh, fine. We've already done Back in Time, though, haven't we?
We have, yes. Anyways, let's see what Doreen thought of this episode.
And she writes, "This was brilliant. We finally have Spock. Not himself at the moment, but at least we've been allowed to see him. We had some nice effects and some action. There was a time travel storyline, which I for one enjoyed, and we now have a new string to watch the writers tug. Amy from New Who had a weeping angel in her eye, so Discovery put the Red Angel in Ariam's eyes."
Don't think it's the Red Angel, but yeah.
Well, it might be, because they're going through the tachyon thing left by the Red Angel's wake.
I suppose. I got the impression that probe thing had travelled through time. Well, they say it's travelled through time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of developed sentience, so it's sort of a mechanical consciousness. Somebody actually on Twitter said, "Oh, it's the Borg." I don't think so, but there's definitely some sort of a mechanical sentience that's then infected Ariam, I think.
Okay. I'm developing a nice hate for Leyland. However, I was warming to Philippa Georgiou Augustus Eoponius Centaurus.
Yep, I think definitely we're warming to her, interestingly.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed the reference to Spock's dyslexic type difficulties, but I didn't enjoy the seeming implication that he grew out of it. Or perhaps this is highlighting some common misunderstandings. I think I should not think of these scenes too much and just stick to my initial reactions. Yeah. I think it depends, because they say it's like dyslexia or it's like dyspraxia, so it might be something that's not the same as, so it's a type. Whether or not it's something you ever grow out of, whether it's something you just learn to manage and therefore appears hidden, that's also, a possibility. That it's not that it's gone, it's that he's masking. Is also, I would say, a possibility. And it could be that in the end, the use of Vulcan logic helped, and maybe that's partly why he stuck so strongly to the Vulcan side rather than the human side, is because ultimately aspects of Vulcan teachings and Vulcan way of doing things helped.
Yeah, could be. Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
We've heard from Martin.
Good morning, Orgs. Other time zones are available. This is Martin here, just with some feedback on Light and Shadows. This episode was directed by Marta Cunningham. It was the wife of James Frayne, who plays Sarek. I thought this was a very well directed episode, and it has some J.J. Abrams style lens flare. I noticed in some of the Section 31 scenes. But lovely shot of the Discovery, the opening shot. I thought it was really good. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. It's still with, of course, its ongoing themes, and we saw Spock as well. Yeah, I think we're around mid-season, so I think that's kind of bore out, really. It's good to have brought him in, although the Netflix didn't actually spoil that this time around. It was the rather squid-like probe on the shuttle, which was the spoiler image this week. And it'd be interesting to see how that plays into the ongoing Red Angel narrative. Because, again, it's something, at least it's not the Red Angel again, at least it's something that's shown up. And it's something more that adds to the mystery, which I thought was rather good. But I don't know, Red Angel speculation. I think Dave Probert had a good few ones on Twitter. Perhaps it really could be Sam Beckett travelling through time, trying to put right what once went wrong. But we don't know that yet. We don't know much about it as well. The Angel's motivations, could they be bad? Nah, probably they're good. I'm wondering now whether it's Tilly. It's the Red Angel, the red hair. Maybe it's she's hiding in plain sight. But I think we have another candidate, Arium. Flipping hell, one of the support crew members actually gets stuff to do this episode. It looks like she's been taken over by this force. But I wouldn't mind betting that's one of these things. It's all in the big web of time plan. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what triggers her to become the Red Angel, and there are things that, of course, set things in motion, as we know from various timey-wimey stuff, which I think Tilly was only like a couple of sentences away from saying there at some point, putting time in front of everything, which makes it all cool. Not looking good for Cybok, though, I have to say. Once again, Sarek says we don't want to lose both of our children, so I don't know about that. I don't know. Telos 4, apparently, which is where we're going now with Burnham and Spock. And I did have a quick Google, and then afterwards I looked on the internet, and apparently it was featured in The Cage in the Menagerie, and it's where Pike meets his ultimate fate. So yes, obscure original series reference that I don't really get, but I'm sure you'll explore that a lot more on the podcast. So I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about that. Although I wonder if they'll keep the series, the original series production values once they reach the planet's surface. Somehow I doubt it. Thought Captain Pike, I thought it was very good again in this episode. All the dynamic between him and Clem Fandango. The chair beats the badge, of course. But I don't know. I was just finding Tyler a bit annoying in this one. I don't know if all that stuff about Pike's regrets about he's not really participating in the war, that seems to have come out a bit of nowhere. But it's very Kirk as well, of course. Of course, I'm the only one qualified to fly this shuttle into danger, Yeah, we got the Section 31 machinations again, which I feel is just, we're getting just more backdoor pilot stuff so they can have their own series. And again, Michael trusts Giorgio. It's really, why are you still believing anything this woman says? But obviously her concern for Spock is overweighing her emotions. Oh yes, that's something from last week. I did note the Kelpians. Just wanted to, I don't think I've noticed before how weird their feet are. They're kind of like these big cloven hoof things, almost. I'm sure they've changed the makeup for Saru this season, perhaps ever so slightly. I don't know. But, and as well, the time tsunami seems to have hit Kellenar, so I wonder if that's going to do something. I wonder if that's going to have an effect, and an effect of why Saru is no longer going to be in Starfleet, or, well, no Kelpians are in Starfleet, or... Anyway, I don't know if that will seek to have an effect. And if Spock's mind's broken, maybe that's going to explain why he doesn't even remember his sister in the original series. But again, as Peter said, prequels are stupid, and they're scrambling just to try to course correct, just trying to make everything line up rather than seemingly any kind of organic plot. Maybe I'm a bit too cynical there. Well, let's see what happens on Discovery next week. It's all kind of kicking off, isn't it? All hotting up, and yes, I'm really intrigued by what's going to happen with Arium now. It's really interesting. Okay, so I'll speak to you later. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, Martin.
Cheers. So, cause of timey-wimey stuff, Arium is the Red Angel. Maybe.
I think that's fairly unlikely, but yeah, you never know. Yes, there's an awful lot of, who are these? Who is this Red Angel going around? Which I guess is raising interest in the series, so that's cool.
Yeah, you're right. Both of our children.
Silly man. Silly man. Well, he means our children as is his and Amanda's, you see, whereas Cyborg is a child of a previous marriage, so that's okay. He's allowed to say that. I did think this was well directed. Yes. Very skillfully done.
Yeah.
And I do think that Talos 4 is unlikely to look like it did in the original series, because as nice as those mats were, wow. And that studio set.
Kelenar, is that the name of the Kelpians planet? Anyway.
I was going to look that up, wasn't I?
Right. That,
yeah.
if it was hit by the time tsunami, that could have implications in two ways. It could send everything back through time so he is the only Kelpian, or it could accelerate the time on that planet so that they can then pick up what has been generations of the Kelpians in their more evolved form in the next season.
And it's Kaminar, I've just checked.
Okay.
So.
Not far from Kamino.
No, it's not, and that's why I think it's got lodged in my brain.
Okay.
But two very different planets from two different series. Never mind, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. What did Andrew think of this?
I don't think I'm going to do anything special in feedback today. I'm just going to read out my notes. This is the first episode, it seems, going by the credits, after the showrunners got fired for whatever it is that I'm illegally allowed to say that they got fired for. I wonder if there's going to be any changes of direction, if there are going to be any changes at all, or if it's going to be steady as she goes. We'll just have to wait and see, and probably never find out, because they'll probably never say. Spock's learning disability further isolated him from his Vulcan counterparts and Vulcan society. Could this be related to what Michael did to estrange him? Perhaps embarrassing him to his peers unwittingly. On first viewing, I didn't feel this way, but on second viewing and third viewing, I watched these things 3 times before I feedback on them. It really did stick out to me that this seemed that Spock having Vulcan dyslexia, whatever it was called, really seemed like a plot mechanic to get the numbers backwards. And if that's all that bit of information was for, it just seems a bit convenient for the episode's plot. But if it actually leads to something pertaining to Spock's and Michael's relationship, and she doesn't know that he has Vulcan dyslexia, but maybe as a kid she somehow embarrassed him about that to his peers. Maybe that sent him away, I don't know. Quote, to say that a logical construction is valid is to say that the premises are true, unquote. That's from Spock saying that. That's not correct, it turns out. That's confusing a valid argument with a sound argument. A valid argument is an argument in which the conclusion necessarily follows the premises. The premises themselves don't have to be actually true. You could say, all dogs are blue, Rex is a dog, therefore Rex is blue. That's a perfectly valid argument, but it's not a sound argument, which is what a valid argument is if the premises themselves are true. Pointless pedantry there for you. Mia Kirshner does a great job at portraying the love and fury of a mother who will stand before an army to protect her son, or her husband. It's a bit overwrought, but I think it's true. She does a really good job in this episode, very sort of steely and all that stuff. Arium, capital letters, has been possessed by Red, capital letters, brackets, breached / hacked / whatever, close brackets. Predator laser targeting. Red Angel not Predator, 3 dots. But something is afoot, something has begun, Arium's gonna get stuff to do, good. I do like Arium as a character. She's gonna get stuff to do, that's good with me. Kaminar seems to have been forgotten in all this. Shall we make sure things are okay between Bowl and Kelpians? ? No, study tachyons. Shall we make sure Kaminar is okay after time tsunami ? No, maximum warp. They did basically ignore Kaminar and the repercussions of the last episode, the massive societal repercussions of the last episode, just so they could study the thing, and then fuck off as soon as it exploded. not super far away from the planet's surface. I wondered if there would be some oblique reference anywhere to Pike's ending up in a wheelchair, and Episode 7, quote, "It's good to be back in the chair," unquote, has done it. But yeah, that was one thing I thought they would not be able to help themselves. At some point there's going to be a reference there, and I think that was it. It's good to be back in the chair. First time watching, said out loud on first mention of Talos 4, "Oh no." Not sure why. Not confident they'll do it right? Question mark. Trying too hard to tie things together? Question mark. Yeah, I get the feeling that the Talosians are not antagonists in this. I think they're going to be helpers. And Spock's going to them because he knows they can help with their mental abilities. Yeah, to unbreak his mind, which may have been broken by the Red Angel. To sum up, moving pieces on chessboard, setting things up, just about entertaining enough in its own right. Big change from last week. Yeah, I think this is very much a transitional episode. It's setting things up, it's putting things in motion, but I think it is entertaining enough in its own right. This feedback is rapidly running out of steam, so I'm going to switch this off now, and I'm going to hand you back to the very capable podcasting hands of Anne-Marie and Peter Organ. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Was it Andrew who guessed episode 7? I think it might have been.
Right. Can't remember. I thought the numbers backwards thing was an Alice in Wonderland thing.
Yeah, it was.
As in Through the Looking Glass.
Yes.
It's not particularly connected with his dyslexia, stroke, dyspraxia, whatever.
No.
The Vulcan thing he has. But you're right, Mia Kirshner, brilliant performance, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Steely is the word, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. You're right about them not doing anything about Kaminar. I mean, I think in the first instance they're studying the tachyon stuff. It might just be that initially they're stepping back slightly because it was probably fairly recently after the events on Kaminar. But you don't at any point see them sending a message to Kaminar going, there's some weird shit time stuff going on, you might want to do something about that.
Not as much they can do, but yeah.
But do you know what I mean? There's
a
nothing.
reference to the state of the planet, for instance,
Yeah,
they affected, would have been good.
Yeah, and I did wonder whether it's good to be back in the chair was a...
Oh, I hadn't picked up on that. It seems a bit cheesy, really, but never mind.
Yeah, and I did wonder. I didn't realise the logic was faulty that he was quoting, but then maybe he's misquoting because he's broken.
Yes, but that could be argued.
I mean, at least it's better than him walking around going, how many beans make 5? How many beans make 5? You know, it's better than that. And yeah, maybe there is a link somehow with the rift between Michael and Spock connected with his learning disability that she clearly didn't know about as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Or might be something else. It might be something that comes into play, you know, a bit later on.
But he was right about it feeling like a transitional episode, but on the other hand, it had a narrative arc. We found Spock, wow, and found out a bit more about him. Plus, we had the whole adventure in the tachyon rift thing. So it was as well as being transitional. It also it had some self-contained plot lines that were nice.
Yeah. And who else have we heard from?
From the Llama God.
Llama Scott Deep, Noi Jake, Un, Tree, tell us that you're never gonna leave us. Tell us that you're always gonna love us. Tell us right now. Or maybe next week. Okay, yeah, no, this was an interesting episode of Discovery, wasn't it? And no more of the tease. This week we get the big hairy Spock right out for everyone to see. Although not quite for everyone to interact with quite as they might like. Not quite as much fun as we were hoping for. Right off the bat, I'll say this wasn't quite the episode I was expecting. There was a lot of hype that I saw online today. I was worried that I was going to miss something big. As it turns out, I think the main really big thing about this episode was just the mention of Talos 4 at the end. And obviously, you've already gone on about what that's all about, haven't you? So I don't need to paint myself green again. 2 threads to this episode, really. The first one obviously being the timey-wimey adventures on the ship. Now this actually felt like a proper Star Trek episode once again, so it's good that we're keeping the whole this is actually a Star Trek series thing. Not only is there a timey-wiminess thing happening, but also we get the standard trope of 2 characters who don't get on together. And I've got to say, Pike not standing for any of Ash's bullshit right at the start, that was really my Vulcan jam, if Vulcans make jam. Yeah, maybe they do. I mean, they keep Katras, so if they preserve souls, they can preserve fruit like that as well. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, that was really fun to watch, just seeing them in the shuttle, the back and forth between the two characters. I mean, there has obviously been a resolution, as tends to happen with these sorts of plots in Star Trek, but we'll see if that stays as it is or whether other tensions are stirred up over time. But I definitely like seeing those characters interact, and as I say, the way that they spark off each other was really, really nice. Obviously, the cliffhanger we're left with there is what was the probe and what has downloaded itself into, what's her face? Sorry, I can't remember her name. Into her mind. Is this actually not going to be the first encounter with the Borg? Is it going to be, oh god, is it going to be the remnants of the Romulan civilization post the collapse of Romulus? Because we know from the comic adaptation they were using Borg technology, which is why Nero's drill in Star Trek 2009 looked not like any other Romulan ship we'd seen. I'm really hope they're not going for the deep bonkers, slightly shitty lore there. And I know when I say lore, I mean storytelling, not Data's brother. But let's hope they also don't do him either. So it will be interesting to see where they go with that and to see whether they can avoid the trap of turning her into a Borg wannabe, Borg substitute, Borg-like, or what's going to happen. Because of course we don't yet know whether the Red Angels and this probe, in fact, are actually malicious. I mean, the probe from the future could have just been trying to ascertain exactly where it was. So, who knows what's going on there. So yes, that'll be interesting to see play out. The other part of the episode is the final discovery of Spock, and it turns out that Amanda's been hiding him all the time, which immediately makes her a very, very interesting character, and I'm really liking her. Some really interesting family dynamics being played out there. I loved seeing all of that, and although it was a shame that we didn't actually really get to interact with Spock this week, it's enough to see the effect on him and his family. It was a bit baffling, really, that Michael took him to Section 31, and it's a shame because there was a lovely moment where it seemed like Leland was actually going to be compassionate, and he did actually care, and that maybe Section 31 weren't all as bad as they're actually meant to be, but it turns out they're actually also really bad at faking it. You just thought these guys were some sort of actors or something. And that part of the plot throws up another question as well. There's the shocking revelation that Leland had some sort of hand in the death of Burnham's parents. Is that possible? Because, that would have been at least, 20 years ago? He doesn't seem to be that old, unless, it was his first assignment or something. Maybe he botched his first assignment. Who knows? I don't know. So that'll be something which will, given that the Discovery seems to not be letting things hang on too long, I imagine we'll get this resolved in short order. We won't have to wait too long to find out what's going on there. So yeah, interesting episode. And the most of the fun came from the shuttle pod bit with Ash and Pike, basically. Again, another episode that wasn't really that satisfying on its own. And also interesting to see, and I noticed when I started the episode, it had quite a relatively short runtime for this series of only 40 minutes. Although it does feel, by the time that Michael escapes from the Section 31 ship, it did feel like an awful lot had happened, but at the same time, not a lot has happened either. So yeah, not as satisfactory as I was hoping for the first episode that we see Spock, but more setting things up for things to come. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what is yet to come. As ever, looking forward to seeing what everyone else makes of this. And until next time, glory to you and your cast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I liked the Pike versus Ash stuff as well. That was really cool. You say that, do they know how to make jam? Well, they can preserve a Katra. I now think Katra jam is a thing.
I bet it's green as well.
Yeah.
Katra jam. Spread it on your toast.
It's real soul food.
It is, yes. And yeah, very good acting from the dude that plays Leland. He was actually nice and charming without giving away the fact that actually he wasn't at all. But
yeah.
So I thought that worked really well, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be like that if he's going to work for Section 31. So
yes, yeah, he's got to be plausible.
Yes.
And as a sort of nice, charming person, hasn't he?
Yeah. Despite being actually a bastard.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And yeah, I've got my own queries about what he did to get Burnham's parents killed because he doesn't look 72. But
yes, this is an interesting thought. I don't know whether Memory Alpha is going to have how old he is, but I'll have a quick look. They do not have an age for Leland, but the actor, to give you an idea, is 47.
Yeah, so he could have been in his... If Burnham is in her 20s, the character could have been in his 20s.
Yeah.
So it's feasible. Highly unlikely he would have been in command, I would say.
Well, as Lama says, I'm sure we'll find out, and probably won't have to wait too long for that one.
Yeah,
so.
I think you're right.
We do have another half the season to go yet, so...
Yes. But then if you think about the first season of Discovery, it was very much a game of two halves.
It was, yes. The second half seemed to be very mirror universe based, whereas the first half was the Klingon War. So who knows where this one's going to head off yet.
Don't know.
Next time we'll be recording a little bit earlier, so if you could get your feedback in by 5 o'clock on Saturday the 9th, did we say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that would be really helpful. Obviously, if it comes in after that, we'll just include it on the following podcast. Until then, cheerio, bye.
Bye.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. Hashtag Borgcast.
Am I deceived, or did you say? For all I know, you let your love light shine on me. Oh, angel.
Shut it down!
Off, you bugger. Off.